to our preparatory workshops as part of the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership Final Conference. I had a look at the chat just now. I see some familiar faces such as Anna Ekeledo, Robert Sanders, hi to you, and also very warm welcome to all the people who may have joined for the first time to one of the AEIP events today. I think we have an interesting program for you today, but before we get to that and before we introduce to you the AEIP partnership and the program for today, I would like to give the floor to Nina Komoyanousis from DG Research and Innovation of the European Commission to formally open the workshop sessions for today. So Nina, I would like to give you the floor then.
Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me? Is it okay? Because I had some troubles in the beginning. So thank you to be here today at these last sessions of the AEIP pilot program. I would like to especially thank Technopolis team to have organized this special morning preparatory workshops. Thank you very much, Stefan, Matthias, Tanya, and the others that I don't see the names, but I am sure you are very efficient. I wish you, in the name of the European Commission, a very interesting morning with great topics in the agenda: community of practice, clean tech, food waste, tech, which are, among other priorities, priorities of our both continents. As the pilot program is coming to its end, I can only advise you to take maximum advantage of these sessions. Don't be shy, intervene and give your opinion, and especially share your experience. In the name of European Commission, I wish you an excellent and fruitful morning.
Thank you very much for these words of introduction, Nina. I should probably also have introduced myself. So my name is Stefan Kreuzer, and I'm the Tech Hub, Technology Hub, that is network manager in the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership team. And together with the colleagues that you can see here on the screen, we will guide you through the event today. Warm welcome once again. I saw that we already have a question in the chat, I believe, or we have a hand raised from Samia El-Azab. I will give you permission to speak. You should be able to speak now. Or you might still have to unmute yourself. I can still see you muted here, Samia. Otherwise, perhaps you could put your question into the chat, and then a colleague of mine can hopefully try and answer it. Someone mentioned that we have audio issues. Can you all hear me? Yeah, okay. All right, great. All right then. So yes, for the those of you who are not familiar with what the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership is all about, we would like to give you a quick introduction. And for those of you who have come to previous events, we would like to just give you a refresher so that you understand where we are with this project and where we want to take it from here. So for that purpose, I will once again share my screen and then invite my colleague Matthias Pluch to say a few words about the AEIP setup.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Indeed, my name is Matthias Pluch. I'm the overall project coordinator for the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership, working closely with all the other team members to organize the many activities we've done over the past 2.5 years. And we know many of you have been to our prior events, but some of you haven't. So we thought it would be good to do a short recap. And well, as Nina already explained, I think very well, this project started from the point of departure that while we have two very different continents in Africa and Europe, we face many of the same challenges. We are faced with how to deal with climate change. I mean, in the last year, we were and we are still dealing with the challenge of COVID-19, of public health more broadly. We have integrated value chains. We have common we don't just have common challenges, we also have common opportunities, new technologies that are relevant for all countries and that really make it important to be effective and efficient in collaboration, because maybe opportunities in one country can also be relevant for the other. So this need to look across borders is not new. There was already a very strong partnership between the African Union and the European Union on research cooperation going back decades. But more and more we realize it's not just about producing new knowledge, it's also about actually applying these. And these are not typically the same professors and researchers who are doing very important work in research institutes, but these are entrepreneurs, innovators that work to develop new products, to launch new services on the markets. And these are they deal with very different challenges, and they need very different kinds of support and very different kind of cooperation. So that's why the European Union, the Commission, together with the African Union, as part of the high-level policy dialogue cooperation, launched this new pillar of cooperation, actually, which is on innovation. And as part of that, in September 2019 in Nairobi, some of you were there. It was a great moment. We also officially launched the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership project, which was in a way is a pilot project, a project to test a lot of new models of cooperation. So we've done that, and I think today we'll see a lot of results of that. And we have done that by building partnerships for innovation cooperation. So we have one big community of tech hubs. We are often the key intermediary players that support startups and that can link, but have a little bit more mass and critical mass and cooperation power than individual startups who can really form sustainable partnership with other organizations in other continents. So we have a similar community of practice for technology transfer organizations and RTOs that work really on the transition between knowledge and the application of that knowledge in practice through innovation. So having two networks, two communities coming together was one or some of the key critical elements of the activities we've done. Then we have also tried to learn together, and especially in the community of practice, but also through others, we have done studies on, for instance, frugal innovation, open innovation, trying to find out what are opportunities that are relevant for both continents. We also worked on capacity upgrading, which was our third pillar. It's not easy to cooperate internationally. You really need to be on the top of your game. And there are many challenges, and which are not sometimes different when you go internationally. When you think about IP, what are good business models? There's a lot of common challenges between Africa and Europe, and we, together with many of our partners, we organized a lot of webinars, but also more intensive training activities. And finally, I would say, in terms of activities, we've really focused on building a larger ecosystem, a network, connecting networks of different stakeholders, connecting to the policy community, which resulted, for instance, in that there is now an official innovation working group at the policy level, at the high-level policy dialogue, which really focuses on trying to coordinate joint policy efforts, but also on the very practical level, working with these tech hubs, entrepreneurship initiatives, the funding side, really trying to link these initiatives to funding opportunities, and also to different kind of organizations. There are many players active, development banks, and not just DG Research and Innovation, which is sponsoring this initiative, but also the other directorates, such as the directorate responsible for ICT. So innovation is one of those topics that is really so cross-cutting that everybody is involved and should be involved. So that was also one other main activity. And I think this conference is really the pinnacle of that part, where we try to really bring everybody together today and also tomorrow in the main program, where policy and practice and different stakeholders from Africa and Europe, both from the more research side and the more practical implementation side, are all present. So, well, and we hope that through these activities that we've really laid a foundation for building an innovation ecosystem, international innovation ecosystem of connected players that, because of these connected systems, really enable startups and also more mature companies to leverage that cooperation and work together, work together on technology, export products to the other continent and services as well. Because this is a new space, we explicitly also said, I mean, it's also about learning. I mean, innovation is not just about products and services, it's also about policy, about how to collaborate. We have to learn a lot. This is a kind of new model. How do you work together across continent on innovation? It's not straightforward, it's not easy. So we have to try out new models. And I think we've seen in the AEIP that many things have worked, some things have not worked, and probably in the years ahead with the many new initiatives, also some things will work and some things will not work. But it's important that we are learning, that we are improving and working together to share those lessons, that we together work on those common challenges which are on top of this diagram, indeed, to promote economic opportunities, which jobs, income, security, but also to together address those sustainable development goals, which are so pressing at the moment. So tomorrow we will have a much more extensive session on what the impacts have been of AEIP. We also have a session on what we have learned, and also a session on what the sustainability of this project is. How will some of these services will continue forward? So I think I'll leave it that for now. That's a bit about the AEIP. If you have more questions, you can also look at the website, which is quite comprehensive. But for now, I think, as Nina said, enjoy today, tomorrow. Make use also of the platform. There is this website. I saw some questions about how to contact each other. Well, there is this really interesting platform. Perhaps Stefan can explain a little bit more about it in a minute. That will really allow you also to network, because this is also really a networking event. We are constrained by not, ideally we would have been in the same place physically, but I think we have given the means as a very nice platform that will also allow us to still benefit from being in the same place, but then virtually. So thank you so much. I hope you have a very productive and fun also sessions today, and hope to see you also again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. And just before we break into our first two parallel sessions, here just a quick outlook of the program for today. So as Matthias already mentioned, tomorrow we have the main conference day, where we have a rich program throughout the entire day, also including interactive networking sessions and plenary and panel discussions. Today we have a set of preparatory workshops where we want to have discussions with the core stakeholders of the AEIP, so the technology hubs, startups, technology transfer offices, and network partners. But of course, everyone else who is maybe less familiar with the AEIP is also welcome to join any of those sessions. And indeed, you have the opportunity via the event platform to register for individual sessions and to see your individual agenda. But yeah, just to give you a heads up for today, what we have in stock is the a reflection, a stock taking and reflection on the Tech Hub network starting just now. If you want to find out more about that or be part of that discussion, you can just stay in this Zoom call. In parallel, we have now also a separate discussion on the community of practice of technology transfer organizations, including a discussion of case studies that were drafted by this community. If you want to join that session, you would have to please leave this Zoom call and access the Community of Practice session via the event platform. But I believe Tatiana, my colleague, could also post the link here in the chat if you want to switch to the other session. Then we have a coffee break at 11 to 11:15. And after that, we once again have 3 parallel sessions. If you want to learn more or discuss about the cleantech thematic challenge, you can stay in this call. If you want to learn about food waste or EdTech thematic challenges, once again, please access the respective calls via the event platform. Then we will come back together here in the plenary for a short reflection. And then in the afternoon, there is also a capacity upgrading module on the role of accelerators in innovation ecosystems. I also invite everyone to check this out. And then just a couple more housekeeping rules, because some questions are already in the chat about how this works. If you have technical questions, please, you can reach out to my colleague Tatiana. Her email address is here in the bottom, or you can message her here in the chat. In general, this is in the webinar format, so by default, everyone is muted. But if you want to speak, you can raise your hand, and then we can unmute you. So we want this to be very much an interactive session today. So indeed, make use of that. Feel free to raise your hand. And alternatively, you can also put questions into the chat, and then we can call you up when the right moment has arrived. Yes, in case of audio issues, you can also try to log out and then log back into the meeting, and hopefully that will sort things out. All right, so now we move on to the 2 parallel sessions. So yeah, I think Tatiana, could you maybe just post the link to the TTO Zoom call, please, because that's the parallel one we have now. But everyone who wants to wants to be part of the discussion about about tech hubs, then just you can stay in this call here. All right, I'll just give everyone a minute to move to the right place, and then we can move on here. Yes, and now in the chat, the link to the TTO session is also available. Once again, you can also just access the respective session via the event webpage. So, let's move on to the Tech Hub networking session. So as my colleague Matthias already indicated in his overview of the AEIP, the network of technology hubs is very much at the core of the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership, because we look at tech hubs as intermediaries and multipliers through which a wider cohort or group, if you will, of startups and individual entrepreneurs, both in Africa and in Europe, can be reached. And also because these tech hubs have a deep insight into their local startup and innovation and technology ecosystems. So we believe that they are great connectors and key stakeholders when trying to build and connect innovation communities across both continents. So yeah, how did we go about this building up this network? Just again here, a refresher for those of you who have been part of the journey, and then just a brief overview for those of you who are learning about the AEIP for the first time today. We started out with actually with a mapping exercise. We identified I think over 100 tech hubs both in Africa and in Europe. You can see here on the map on the right hand side where some of the hotspots are of members in our network. So yeah, in the summer of 2019, we reached out to those tech hubs, and we basically were looking for tech hubs who support startups that are working in a field that is related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So this could be anything from clean tech to food waste to transport to fintech. I will give an overview on the next slide. We then brought these tech hubs in first instance together in a virtual network. But then we also, since we started out in 2019, we also wanted to organize physical gatherings, because we believe that especially at the beginning of such a project, it's quite important to also meet in person to build trust and to establish the basis for mutually beneficial and long-lasting relationships. Because the idea here was not to organize one-off events, but really to build a network that lasts, that remains in place. So we started out with a kickoff meeting in Nairobi in September 2019, to which we invited a first cohort of around a dozen African and a dozen European tech hubs, who we selected previously, but then also try to understand which ones of those tech hubs have common interests, for instance, because maybe they work with startups in their portfolio who operate in similar sectors, or perhaps they are interested in each other's markets, or they are organized in a similar way, for instance, both affiliated to a university or something like that. Yes, and then in these events, we encouraged them to get to know each other, to network, and also to establish partnerships between each other, either bilaterally or even in smaller groups. And these partnerships could then entail a lot of different possibilities, such as providing soft landing support for startups from the partner in the other region. So for instance, if a European and an African tech hub, let's say from Luxembourg and Nigeria, have established a partnership, then the Luxembourgian tech hub would welcome startups from the Nigerian tech hub in a soft landing program, and vice versa. But also to exchange knowledge on how to operate a successful tech hub in different contexts, to provide information about market access, about intellectual property and regulation, just to basically make it easier for startups from the other region to cross the Mediterranean, so to say, but also to bring together startups which are working on similar technologies or operating in similar sectors, and encouraging them to work together with a view to, this way stimulating innovation through this exchange. Of course, each partnership set different priorities, but these are just some ideas and examples of what these partnerships were all about, and are about, because they are ongoing, I should say. So yeah, as you can see here, we have a total of 127 tech hubs from both continents. You can see some of the locations on the map on the right-hand side. And between those, 42 partnerships were activated. I already mentioned some of the technology fields and thematic focus areas of our network. So yeah, as you can see here, clean tech and renewable energy is one area, food and agri-tech, education. Those were the three for which we also launched thematic challenges, which we will tackle after the coffee break. And then health tech and fintech were also relevant sectors. And just to give you an idea here of the, let's say, some of the partnerships that we activated through the events. So yeah, you can just get an idea here, and I hope that many of the organizations named here also, that those representatives now have joined us for this session, so we can together look back over the last 2 years and also reflect on what this experience has meant for each one of us, and then also to understand what the needs might be for the future in terms of how to bring these partnerships forward. Because of course, as you can probably appreciate, the pandemic, as in all other aspects of life, has also had an impact on this network. And of course, in some ways, it made it more difficult to remain engaged, to remain in contact. In other ways, it actually has also shown us that how much can actually be organized in the virtual space, because last year we organized several networking sessions and events entirely virtually, just as we do today. And we were able to bring together and match new tech hubs and startups in those events, and they have since then also continued to collaborate. So yeah, I guess there are both positive and negative learnings that can be taken away from this. All right, so yeah, this is just another slide with more of the TechUp partnerships in this network. Once again, I believe many of those have also registered for the event, and yeah, you can hopefully reach out to them if you want to find out how their partnerships have evolved. But we also want to discuss this together. Yeah, so indeed, just a quick outlook now that I basically provided you with a recap of what happened so far in the partnership. As Matthias alluded to at the beginning in his overview, our AEIP pilot initiative, as funded by the European Commission, will actually come to an end this September. But this doesn't mean that the TechUp network should also come to an end. Rather, there will be several follow-up initiatives funded by the European Commission, but also by the African Development Bank, by the European Investment Bank, and other multilateral organizations that all target in some way or another networking activities between technology hubs, digital innovation hubs, and startups between Africa and Europe. So if anything, things will just become even more interesting from now, because when we started out 2 years ago with this pilot, it was a relatively new attempt to connect tech hubs in a systematic way between both continents. There were already tech hubs networked in Europe and in Africa, but there was not this connection between the two. Whereas now we have this network in place, and now there is more interest also among public stakeholders to continue to fund networking activities between those entities. So I think this is a good news for all of you that, yeah, in September, this will not just come to an end abruptly, but rather we will have more opportunities, hopefully, and more frameworks in which to collaborate. So here we just list a few. We will hear in a minute more about Enriching Africa as one of the key successor initiatives to the AEIP. But we also have several initiatives from which we will hear more tomorrow, trying to network digital innovation hubs. And then we have also Boost Africa and the Business Incubator Communities in Africa initiatives. And the Commission is trying to really link up all those different initiatives to make sure that they provide coherent offerings to the tech hubs and other stakeholders. I believe there was a question from Vicky. Maybe someone could give her speaking rights, because while I'm in this sharing mode, I cannot.
It was a very technical thing that I can't change my name. I'm apologizing that version of Zoom. I tried to do it and I can't. So apologies for interrupting.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I think we just generally find it helpful when people rename themselves, but no worries if it's not working out. Okay, so we have some time allocated to a discussion in the end of this session, but before we get to that, I would like to hand over the floor to Faith Blakemore from Steinbeis 2i. Faith will talk a little bit about Enriching Africa, which, as I mentioned just now, is one of the key follow-on and successor initiatives to the AEIP that will also try to provide services for networking between African and European technology hubs. And with that, yes, I would like to hand over to you, Faith.
That's great, thank you. Can you hear me okay? I've just turned my mic on, so
yes.
Checking it works. That's great. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Faith Blakemore. I work for a company called Steinbeis 2i, which we're actually based in Germany. And we are the coordinators of the new Horizon 2020 program called Enriching Africa. This started in January, so we're still pretty new and underway. It's going to be a 3-year project, which I want to introduce you to now. Stefan, if I just tell you when to change the slide, is that okay?
Sure.
That's great, thank you. So just to kind of give you a bit of context here, so what is Enriching Africa? You might have seen the name and be wondering what on it is. So it is a new project from the European Commission. It's funded by Horizon 2020. And what we have done here is deliberately put together a consortium of active ecosystem organizations. So we actually have our customers within our consortium to make sure that we are co-creating solutions for the incubation and acceleration as well as innovation ecosystems across Africa and Europe. So we've made sure that that consortium contains those people who can help us make those decisions. We're also a sister project of the other Enrich centers. So in the previous 4 years, Enrich in China, Enrich in Brazil, which is now Brazil in the LAC countries, and Enrich in the US have been running, and they've been developing networks across those areas and helping organizations in Europe to connect internationally to those areas. So we are the newest one of these Enrich centers. And we're also being seen as the transition project for the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership. Because of the things that we are delivering within our program, we've obviously got some crossovers already, and we're happy to support any of you that need some transition into some further support. We're there to help. Next slide, please. So what is our project about? What is our mission? So we are there to support, to connect, and to reduce, and I'm going to explain what that is. Supporting in terms of the intercultural innovation and knowledge exchange. So what we're about is supporting incubation acceleration communities in terms of their capacity upgrading, and we're saying that because we realize that there's some absolutely excellent work that's going on. We're not here to tell anybody how to do that, but we are here to provide support to help create a better foundation for people to do what they love and do it better. So we're going to gather the knowledge from across the ecosystem and help make it available to others within the ecosystem. We're also then connecting, so connecting both entrepreneurs and innovators to partners, to financing and funding, but also the incubators and accelerators themselves to connect to each other and to potential clients and customers of the startups themselves. We're also there to reduce barriers, and that means internationalization. So at the moment, we are specifically focusing on Europe and Africa, all countries within Europe and Africa. We have originally focused on sub-Saharan Africa, but we're open to going further afield with North Africa, for example. So we are there to reduce those barriers, to help make sure that the startups, the entrepreneurs, can access other countries beyond their own. Next slide, please. What are the goals of the project? So ultimately, we're going to services to support our champions, as we're calling them, which is our incubation and acceleration members that are part of Enriching Africa, but also facilitate the growth of ideas and make sure that people are successful in the projects that they are doing. We're also piloting a range of services. So we are a project ourselves, and we're there to set out and deliver a range of services to start with that we will then take up within what we're calling the Enriching Africa Centre. And that is going to be a sustainable business that is going to be set up pretty soon, actually, in the coming months. We've already selected the location. And it will have a head office, but at the same time, it will be open to supporting the entire ecosystem across both regions. So we will be piloting services, but they will be being delivered through our champion network and through the Enriching Africa Centre. Next slide, please. The Enriching Africa Centre itself, so it is online and in person, the different services that we're delivering. The main thing that we're going to have is an online digital platform. So this will be a platform, not just a website, it will be a membership area where you can log in, there will be your own dashboard, you can favourite things, like things, start saving things into your account. So it will be an interactive solution where you can start engaging with your potential clients as well as with other peers and people outside of that. So whether it's decision makers, academics, all kinds of range of people from across the innovation ecosystem, we're going to pull them together and start delivering services. We also have a community which is online through the Eurequity website, and that's where we're pulling everybody together to help connect. We're also going to be supporting the innovation ecosystem through collaboration and co-creation activities, making sure that we provide quality services. So we're going to have assessments of what we're doing to make sure that it's providing the quality services to the needs of the network and enhancing the network of innovation all over. Next slide, please. So just to give you a bit of an understanding of the user benefit, so I personally am a user experience person, so I make sure that there is a user-driven understanding of methodologies through everything, and I want to make sure here that we are providing value through the chain here. So the first thing that Enriching Africa Centre is going to be doing is providing capacity upgrading and co-creation services and activities to our incubators and accelerators known as our champions. Next slide, please. How that then turns into the next lot of services, shall I say, is how the incubators and accelerators, the champions, then can deliver services to innovators and entrepreneurs. And finally, the networking collaboration between everybody. So how Enriching Africa as a centre will be connecting the innovation facilitators, and what we mean by those is the corporates, the funders, whether that be corporate funders, venture capitalists, whoever it might be, and how we connect everybody to each other. Next slide, please. So at the moment we have 20 organisations from across Europe and Africa that are acting as our pilot champions. So they are the people we're going to be piloting our services with. But that is going to be expanding. So we're opening pretty much now the applications for further champions, and we will offer the services to them as well. But at the moment we're working with our champions to deliver a core set of services that we can trial, assess, and then evolve into better services in the future. So if you're interested, there will be some information at the end of this presentation. So I would say do contact us and we can give you more information. Next slide, please. But what does support look like? So obviously we'll be talking about support, but what actually is support? So I've just given you a bit of an understanding here of the different things that we're offering. So there will be trainings, there will be a virtual academy that will be online and available for people to access through their dashboards. That will be for the champions here. Obviously a multi-stakeholder community, peer-to-peer exchange. We're going to offer events, the Champions Gathering as an annual event to help bring people together, knowledge exchange, etc. But there's also going to be commercialization opportunities for you as our champions. So we want to make sure that there's opportunities for you to commercialize your knowledge, anything that you are developing with us, and help you to be successful as an incubator or accelerator program. We're also going to be offering the twinning program, which I know through AEIP is called matching. It's pretty much the same thing. We've just used the word twinning, but it is twinning and matching. Well, we'll be continuing the work that AEIP has been doing to make sure that we build solid relationships between Europe and Africa. Next slide, please. So how can you get involved? So we want to give you some contact points right now of how you can engage with us. I've just mentioned we have the Equity community. So if you go on there, search for Enriching Africa, then our community is on there at the moment. We're growing rapidly, which is great. We have investors already in there awaiting for the entrepreneurs, innovators, incubators, accelerators, whoever it might be. So they're looking for people there. There's also organizations that are seeking partners. So it's free to join. There's no cost. You just need to sign up. So just go in, click to sign up, and we can get you plugged in. This is also a point where we deliver a lot of our communications. So when we've got our soft landing programs, for example, as we've just delivered, that are underway at the moment, then we would communicate that through here as well as through our social media channels. Next slide, please. So again, here's some contact points. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook and Twitter, so you can look us up there. But if you are an incubator or accelerator, if you are a tech hub and be working with AEIP and are interested in becoming a champion with Enriching Africa, feel free to drop us a line, hello@enrichingafrica.com. Send us an email and we can have a chat with you then and see how we can get you on board and plugged in to what we're doing. So I think that's kind of it from my side. I'm pretty sure there's lots of questions, but we can deal with those as they come. But thank you for your time, and we hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, Faith. I believe I saw 1 or 2 questions in the chat directly related to the presentation.
So there's a question from Annika Toko. She's asking if you're only assisting incubators and accelerators. So do you guys also assist startups, for instance? I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we at the moment we are offering some pilot services to the entrepreneurs and innovators themselves. So we've got a soft landing program that we launched last month. I think it's actually just closed for applications, but we are offering other services as well, including startup and scale up programs. But what we're doing is we're offering them and delivering them in partnership with our champions. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we work as a network to support our champions, but also provide services to the incubators, to the entrepreneurs and innovators. One of the things that I do know is that for entrepreneurs, one of the greatest things that they need is partners and money. And so in which case, I'd say the greatest thing that they can do right now is go to the Your Equity community, because, as I say, we have investors sitting there waiting to be connected. If you need any support with knowing how to use it, we have a team of people who can onboard you and get you set up with your own deal room, with your own information to put out and show to the Your Equity community that you're ready. So we can help with that as well. I hope that answers the question. Oh, I
Sorry. Yeah, Onika, I've given you permission to talk. So if you have a follow-up question, go ahead and share it.
Yes, good morning. I wanted to know that they are only assisting incubators or the accelerators. So if I'm only SMME, they can be able to assist me, or should I go to their website and sign in for them to collaborate me with the relevant people that could assist my project?
Yeah, so yes, we can. We are delivering services to the innovators and entrepreneurs as well. One of the best things that you could do right now, actually, if you wanted to do something today, on our website, we have a needs assessment survey for entrepreneurs and innovators. If you complete that, it helps us to direct you to the right support services to connect you to. So that is available. It's on our Get Involved page on the website. If you go in, you can also sign up to our newsletter. You can join the Your Equity community. You can do all of that right now, today. And then we can take it further and see what we can provide for you. There are services that we're delivering though, but our champions are the incubators and accelerators.
Okay, no, thank you. I understand. Thank you so much, Faith.
No problem. Any other questions?
I think we also, in case we are missing some questions, first of all, please, if you have a question, put it in the chat ideally. I see that there's also this Q&A tool, but it's easier for us if you just put them into the chat. Any questions we are not able to answer just now, we will save them for later and we can do a follow-up or put you in touch with the right people. Okay, I see there's another question from Richard. How do you propose to work with like-minded initiatives? Or maybe Richard, yeah, so the question is, how do you propose to work with like-minded initiatives? For example, VC4A has a deal room and offers similar services. The AFDB also offers similar services through the Innovation Lab.
Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting question, because one of the things that we have noticed is that there's quite a lot happening in the Europe and Africa innovation space at the moment. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we keep communicating and working with the other organizations that are there. This was also one of the reasons why we developed the consortium that we did. We deliberately pulled together different ecosystem actors into the consortium to make sure that anything that we were developing, that they agreed to and that they saw value in. So we're making sure we have organizations such as Startup Bootcamp, such as Impact Hub, CC Hub Nigeria, Hub Kenya. We have lots of different incubators and accelerators, as well as some other organizations that are at meta levels. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we get all the voices in the room and make sure that we're providing services that are valuable to everybody. We do recognize that there are other platforms out there that are doing other similar things. So we're not there to be in competition. We're not there to steal anything from anybody else. But what we are there to do is to try and support people with very specific tools that we're going to have on our website. The Your Equity community, for example, is more of a community for us. So you can join it as a member, and there'll be lots of different things happening there. It's actually, your equity is delivered by BPI France, which is a bank in France. It's actually now a global bank, but they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of support for accessing investors and financing overall. So we're just trying to make sure that we give people the opportunity to connect into that particular ecosystem there. We're not saying that anybody should choose that over VC4A. We know VC4A have got very good services as well. We're just trying to make sure that we provide as much support as possible within that.
Thank you, Faith. I think we have to make a cut here because we only have 15 minutes left in this session, but thank you very much, Faith, for your presentation. I see that there were more questions for you, so I think we will save those, but you can also reach out directly to Faith or her colleagues via the platform. If you click on the session Tech Up today and you click on the speaker list, you can reach out to Faith. Alternatively, tomorrow there will be an exhibition booth by Enriching Africa, where you can also schedule meetings or find out more. So hopefully then all your questions will be answered. But yeah, once again, thank you, Faith. And of course, you're welcome to stay in the session if you like. So yes, we also wanted to use this opportunity that now that we have gathered some of the technology hubs that are a part of the AEIP here in this room to reflect together on the last 2 years, how it has evolved, also how, of course, the pandemic affected the interactions. So what I would like to do is, I'm just going to once again share my screen. So you should see here some questions for discussion. So this is mainly, of course, relevant, I believe, for those of you who have been part of the AEIP journey over the last 1 to 2 years. Of course, I also welcome others to chip in if you like, to share your perspectives. But what we would like to do is we also want to take away something from the event today and tomorrow. So we would actually invite you to click on the link that my colleague Sainabu just posted in the chat, which will direct you to a mural, which is a mind mapping tool, where we have basically put the same questions that we have here in the slide. Yes, you can add sticky notes there to basically just share your thoughts, your views, your reflections on those questions. So I would invite you to just do that now, to open this link and start posting some notes there. The mural will stay open after the session, so you're also welcome to share your thoughts later on. We will take a look at it by the end of today or tomorrow to see what kind of views you've shared. In addition to that, or as an alternative to using mural, you can also now raise your hand and just share your views here in the plenary, or post your questions or comments into the chat. And I'm going to now open the link as well so I can see the questions myself. Okay, I hope everyone can now see the mural. So you can see that some people are already entering some information. While we watch people, or while people are adding to this, is anyone there who wants to maybe, let's start with something positive. So what do you think worked really well in the AEIP partnership, and also in the Tech Hub network in particular, that as we implemented it together over the last 2 years? If you want to say something, just raise your hand, and then if I don't spot it, I hope one of my colleagues will remind me, because I currently can only see the chat here. I see some raised hands. Sainabu, could you maybe call up people in the order that they raised their hands? Because right now I don't see that, unfortunately.
I also don't see those who've raised their hands. If you could just write your name in the chat, I'll go ahead and give you permission to speak.
It's fine, I can see them. Poncelet from Joko Labs, please go ahead.
Okay.
You have to unmute yourself, Poncelet.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. In terms of what works well within the AEIP project, I'll say the information sharing has been very good in terms of where hubs could come together. I like the way also it has looked at cleantech, which was to me very impressive, you know, and it gave a lot of information and knowledge sharing, you know, and it opened hubs to be able to know how to work with their startups to get involved in the process. So to me, that information sharing was very key. And it was not just, you know, sometimes information comes, but it just comes in bulk, just like big data, so much to process. But it came in bits and pieces that it was very easy with a focused area. So that was exactly what worked for me. Thank you. I'm Poncelet, I'm done speaking.
Thank you very much, Poncelet. And I hope you don't mind if I also add some sticky notes here based on yours and other interventions. Then I think there was, sorry?
I said I'm fine with it.
Okay, great. I think Gilbert, you were next probably from Cameroon.
And I think it would be great if you could just state your name, your organization, and the country you're from. It will be interesting for the others. Thank you.
Gilbert, please unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
yes.
Please. Go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I think it was a very good experience with regards to information sharing and so on. But I know maybe because of the challenge of COVID-19, the impact was not really felt. But however, it was a very good experience, information sharing and networking and virtually and so on. And most importantly, I think what did not go well for me is the partnership between or amongst the various organizations or hubs did not really go well. I will take my case for example. I contacted a few structures in Europe, maybe in Germany, France, but at the end of the day, nothing concrete really happened. Nothing concrete really happened. So these are some of the few things that I think was really an issue. However, it was good. It was in a nutshell. It was really good. And I have just one wish. We need more investors, more of this kind of platform to be connected physically as well. Last time, because of COVID, like I said earlier, a lot of things did not really happen as planned. But however, I say good job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gilbert. And yes, also for the others, feel free to just come in on any of those questions here. So first of all, what worked well? Second, as Gilbert also now mentioned, what perhaps didn't work so well? What were some challenges? Also, maybe what are your expectations and plans for the future? And what kind of needs do you have that still where you would need external support? I think that will also be very interesting, both for the European Commission as the sponsor of the AEIP together with the African Union Commission, but also for the Enriching Africa and other follow-on initiatives. So now's the opportunity for you to come in on those questions.
Vicky, I see that you're also on the call. Would you maybe like to share how AEIP has been working for, I guess, Imperial College, your tech hub in the UK?
So the AEIP has been very useful in highlighting various events and opportunities. The biggest challenge we've had is sometimes with the timings the SMEs that have and startups that have come through some of our programs don't always have availability at the time that an event is coming up. So I think something that would be really good going forward is a sort of longer horizon of these are potential events. I know when you're organising things, it's very difficult to get everything in advance, but in 6 months' time, we're planning something around climate or something around agriculture, just so we can start lining people up and having an idea of dates. And same with some of the funding opportunities. By the time we've identified potential partners and started speaking to them, often the date's already passed.
Okay, so like let's say maybe a roadmap of activities for the next 6 to 24 months or so. Yeah, I guess it's partly probably owed to the pilot nature of the AEIP that in some cases we were basically we were launching new, let's say, initiatives out of the AEIP, such as the thematic challenges, and we were basically implementing them along with you and other partners. But I appreciate that now that we have sort of tried and tested some different approaches to establishing relationships and connections, looking forward, it's better if things are, if information comes in at a slightly earlier stage so people can be
It wasn't
prepared.
a criticism, it was a hope.
I understand. Yeah, okay, thank you for that. I think there were also some people who commented via the Q&A function. Are there any questions here or comments that we should discuss here?
No, I don't think so. Unless somebody has questions still from the audience, please just raise your hand and we will unmute you.
Because we just touched upon the point of planning and timelines. I see here that someone put in the good practice examples to sign an MOU with project planning included. Maybe, I don't know who put that in, maybe that person would like to elaborate or share some experience from their own partnership perhaps.
Tatiana, I see that someone's hand is raised, but I can't see who it is exactly.
Jean-Christophe, please, you're unmuted.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I am the one who put this planning issue in the mural wall. Indeed, what I noticed is that it's easy to conclude MOUs with partners, even though you don't meet them. But then, in terms of implementation, we may have different time perspectives. And as far as I am concerned, in the initiatives that I tried to launch, that is to say, basically the Molecular Startup Initiative, managing to organize meetings between the parties is really a headache. It means that it takes months for people to reply. There is always somebody who doesn't reply and so on. So as a conclusion, I think it's absolutely necessary that from scratch, you meet physically with people to create trust. Because if you start cooperation just remotely, that's even more difficult. So first of all, meet in person, and then agree from scratch on a timeline, and eventually plan ahead all the meetings that you need to have, because when you try to organize that between continents, it's taking really too much time, and the whole project is delayed. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. Yeah, and obviously the aggregator, I think, is also a great outcome of something that where I believe through the AEIP and your participation in there, you were able to find new partners. And indeed, I think in hindsight, we were lucky that at least at the beginning of the project, we were still able to meet in person in Nairobi and Marseille. I think that probably really made a difference. Having said that, we also did manage to establish new partnerships through virtual events last year. But I would completely agree that especially at the beginning of such a partnership, it's very important to meet in person first to establish a working relationship.
I saw Poncelet raise the hand. Would you like to say something, Poncelet? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, I just wanted to add in regards to this meeting in person and comments that has been said about, you know, sometimes it has been very difficult for everybody, especially with this pandemic. But I think, as we all know, the world is opening up. And I feel it has come to a time between now and the first quarter of next year, whether the AEIP can look at holding face-to-face events either within Addis Ababa, as well as the capital of the African Union, or in Brussels, which is capital of the EU, just to try to bring hubs together. I think sometimes, you know, when some people have not got responses and stuff like that, sometimes I don't think it's because people don't want to respond in terms of developing this partnership, but it has become very overwhelming. You are moving from one Zoom to another Zoom every day. So I think it's time. I don't know whether the AEIP has a roadmap on when it wants to start having face-to-face events, but I think it's time for us to be looking at Addis Ababa and Brussels for something to happen. Just a suggestions, and I would like to hear your thoughts, whether you have plans to do something in Addis Ababa as seat of the African Union and Brussels as seat of the EU. Thank you.
Thank you, Poncelet. Indeed, actually, a few months back when we were still a bit more optimistic about travel possibilities around this time, we were actually planning for a hybrid event with like an online component, but also with a stage in Brussels and in Addis Ababa. So I absolutely agree with you that we also should not forget the political dimension, and by also being physically present on the ground in the headquarters of the AU and by the headquarters of the European Union, this would have achieved more visibility in a way. But I am also happy to note that tomorrow we have several public officials from the Commission, from the European Commission and the African Union Commission, and from the AFDB and EIB present. So even in this virtual format, there is a chance to raise visibility of tech hubs with vis-a-vis those funders in particular, and sponsors of other initiatives such as Enriching Africa. And I'm sure that in the future, as we can return to physical interactions, that there will be events organized in either of those locations. I think I saw Osama had raised his hand.
Yes, I see Kelly Wanda was first. Kelly, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yes, thanks to all the organizers. This is quite great. Now, I didn't hear it well. Did you say you want to move into agriculture? Why do I get interested in this? You will appreciate that for a very long time now, EU has been funding agricultural projects, you know, to transform smallholder agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa. Lots have been achieved, but still there are lots and lots of things that need to be achieved. Now, we have the issue of sustaining some of these innovations that have been started. And I'm wondering if this is not a good opportunity where we could link up with the AEIP to try and either scale or finish the piloting of these, but also share some new ideas that seem to be working so that we collaborate for the growth of the private sector, both in the EU and in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. And I would invite you, if you want to discuss agri-tech, to join the following thematic session on food waste and loss after the coffee break, where indeed we will be discussing some of those activities we organized in the realm of agri-tech. And I think also tomorrow there will be a panel discussion on food waste and loss. So indeed, this is one, if you want to say this is a subfield of agri-tech, then indeed we have put that as a focus in the initiative. I don't want to take too much away from people's coffee break now, because we're already running 5 minutes over. It's been a very interesting discussion. I invite you all to continue to add notes to the mural. And also, if you have any further questions or comments in the chat, we will save those and make sure that they are not lost. In the meantime, I thank you very much for your active participation in this session. So what happens next? We now have a coffee break of about 10 minutes. And for those of you, so there are 3 options now. Basically, you can either stay in the Zoom call, and then in 10 minutes, we will continue here with a session on the cleantech thematic challenge. Or if you want to join the food waste challenge session or the EdTech education, that is, challenge session, then please log out of the Zoom call. And on the event platform, you can access those parallel sessions. Also, maybe just in case you're having difficulties with the platform, if Tatiana, you could just paste here in the chat once more the 2 parallel Zoom links, that would be great, so that people can also directly move to those. Thank you. So yeah, I will actually be hosting the food waste session, so I hope I see some of you over there. My colleague Sainabu will pick up here in the cleantech session in 10 minutes from now, and then my colleague Anna will be welcoming you to the EdTech session at 11:15. So thank you very much, and talk to you later.
AEIP team. And we are recording this session so that you're all informed. So just to go ahead and start off. So the AEIP thematic challenge was last year in 2020. And basically the idea behind it was to ask the AEIP Tech Hub network to identify clean tech and renewable energy startups in their portfolio, and then have those startups complete a profile form with information on the country that the startup's located in, the year that they started, what their technology is, what type of partnerships that they're seeking, and who their target group is, and so forth. So in total, we received the profiles of 35 startups, so 11 from across Europe and 24 from across Africa. And basically, these startups generally had a focus on leveraging clean energy and deploying renewable energy and energy efficient solutions to basically decarbonize the energy production. And as part of this initiative, the idea behind it was to then match African and European startups working on similar solutions, connect those startups for them to discuss whether they wanted to co-create in general, since they have complementary solutions. And also another objective for this thematic challenge was to connect these startups to tech hubs from the other region in case that specific startup was interested in scaling to a different country. So for instance, you'll hear from a Belgian startup who was interested in scaling to different countries in West and Central Africa. So we had facilitated the startup's introduction to a tech hub from that specific country in order for that tech hub to potentially offer some type of soft landing support and so forth. So it was, the only challenge that we had was from the African startup profiles that we received, most of those startups tended to focus more on clean coal. And unfortunately from the European startup side, that wasn't like generally their focus area. In general, the European startups focus mostly on renewable energy and energy storage solutions. So that was a bit of a challenge, but of course our team, we tried our best to basically focus on supporting the startups that participated in this challenge to see if they could be connected to a tech hub from the other region that can potentially provide soft landing support. So to go ahead and start, so one basically kind of successful match that took place was between Kenya Biogas Program, which is a Kenyan startup, with WaziUp, which is a German tech hub. So I would then like to give the floor to Mr. Abdul Rahim. He is the co-founder and managing director of WaziUp, a nonprofit organization promoting capacity building and supporting IoT technologies in developing countries. He's also a research collaborator of the Open IoT program. He does public research organization in Italy, and Dr. Rahim is the co-founder of Zigpost GmbH, which is a high-tech indoor localization company in Germany. And Kevin Kinsu, he is the strategic thinker in social entrepreneurship, an SME coach and social enterprise builder. Currently, he is the director of Kenya Biogas Program, which is a registered African Bioenergy Program limited in Kenya. And this enterprise has stemmed from a public-private partnership program under the Africa Biogas Partnership Program. So Dr. Rahim and Mr. Kevin Kinsu, I give you the floor to go ahead and present. Please tell me once you'd like for me to change the slide. So yes, the floor is yours.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. So you can hear me well, right?
Yes, can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
And I just want to add, if the audience, the participants, if you have any questions as they present, please directly post those questions in the comments, because then we'll have about 5 minutes to answer any questions that you have for them. So go ahead.
Very good. So good morning again, and thanks, Saint Labo. So it's very nice to hear again. And as you already mentioned that we participated in the last cleantech session, and myself, I'm with my colleague that we met. Actually, one of the last session is Kevin, and so as mentioned already, I'm representing the WaziUp, and WaziUp is a non-profitable organization, and it's located in Germany, eastern part of Germany, in city Dresden. We are funded by the European Commission. It is started at the beginning with the European funded project. So we are quite active in Africa, and mostly in the East Africa, West Africa, North, and quite many different parts of the Africa. So what we are providing some kind of support or service to the tech hub as well as the startup to rapid prototyping for the viable MVPs as well as to go to market. And we are bringing some kind of the cutting edge technology, mostly IoT, open source hardware and software technologies, big data technologies, and cloud technology. So that's the nutshell. Maybe I ask my colleague Kevin if you can also introduce the biogas.
Thank you, Abdul, and thank you to AEIP for giving us this opportunity to share our experience since the last AEIP session. My name is Kevin Kinusu. I'm the country manager for Africa Bioenergy Programs Limited, which is now housing Kenya Biogas Program. So Kenya Biogas Program is basically was a program that was under a 5-country program called Africa Biogas Partnership Program, funded by the Dutch government since 2009 to 2019, so a 10-year program. So towards the end of 2019, the Kenya Biogas Program, as part of the sustainability agenda or strategy, transitioned into Africa Bioenergy Programs Limited, a social enterprise registered in Kenya to help support deployment of registered technologies, both at the domestic scale and industrial scale. So yeah, we basically now are a legal entity as opposed to how we were during the last session. So I remember in the last sessions, I actually explained that the Kenya Biogas Program is looking forward to transition. But as we speak today, we are already registered in Kenya, and we are continuing with the work that the program has been doing for the last 10 years to support access to energy through clean cooking, with the biodigester technology as our technology of offer to households in Kenya.
Next
We can go
slide.
to the next slide.
Okay,
Yep.
great. A second. Okay.
Yeah, so okay, so that was the introduction by Kevin. So if you go in the previous slide, please, previous slide, and yes. So in this, so we will present a bit before I think going a bit specific questions that was asked that we wanted to discuss in this meeting. Before that, we wanted to present a bit better what we are really doing from the WhatsApp as well as the progress program point of view. So from WhatsApp, as mentioned shortly, that actually what we have developed a complete, I mean, the cost-effective end-to-end IoT solution that we have developed, and this cost-effective IoT solution is open source, based on the open source hardware as well as open source software. So it is very handy for like a kind of the startup who wanted to develop a quick IoT application, or for example, it could be remote monitoring, or it could be the resource management, or any kind of IoT application that you want to do. So we have our sensor platform that is we call WhatsApp, and then after that there is we use a long-range communication tools called the LoRa, and then after that we have this is also the gateway. It's called the WhatsApp, and then it goes to the cloud. So we have a complete the technical landscape from starting from the sensor up to the cloud platform. So that is actually we have, and it is open source, and we are almost engaged almost 50. I think that 50. Around 50 startups that are working in the different dimensions, like in the agriculture and things, and even the clean tech in another domain. So yeah, so this is, we'll explain that actually this is what the technology that we are working together with the biogas, and how can we use this IoT and cutting edge big data technology to apply it in the clean tech domain. So next.
Thank you. On KBP side, we work with, just put it into context, we support about 172 small and medium scale entrepreneurs in Kenya who are deploying the technology, and it's a different range of technologies. We have prefabricated technologies, and we have the brick and mortar constructed technology types. So for us to be relevant, and up to now, we have a portfolio of about 22,000 households who, through our support, have accessed the technology. So we keep a very big database, and of course we have to work on issues around, after sales service delivery, operation and maintenance, and also grievance mechanism to ensure that all issues that the technology users are facing basically relayed on time, and we have a shorter turnaround time to respond to these issues. With the right remedies. So for us to be effective as a program supporting other companies, we do 4 functions. Number one, we facilitate just demand generation. So we have what we call the biogas marketing hubs, where we've partnered with different farm organizations, local farm organizations in different parts of the country. We sign an MOU with them, and we train them on the technology, on the different technology ranges. And using their extension workers and sales members, they basically promote and market the technology. And once we have a pipeline set, then we forward it to companies who close the deal. So we do that using the biogas marketing hub model approach. Apart from that, what we do is we do technical and business capacity development for the small companies. Most of them are family-owned businesses, very small and micro entrepreneurs. So we run an accelerator called the Biogas Enterprise Accelerator Facility that is a targeted business accelerator facility for biogas entrepreneurs. We partner with an organization that is financed actually by Italy called Entrepreneurship for Impact. And we also are looking to establishing what we call the CRIB, the Center for Research and Innovation on Biodigesters, where now these small entrepreneurs can go do their R&D, they can go test their solutions, they can go do some innovations around improving what their technology is all about to offer better value to farmers. The third service we offer is we facilitate quality management and assurance for products. And I think this is where now also our partnership with WhatsApp comes in, because the first step in quality assurance is identifying the problem on time and resolving it in time. And what we do currently is very analog. I mean, we have field officers, we call quality service providers, who have to visit the farm, understand what the problem is with the technology, relay the information to the office, then it has to be relayed to the company for them to respond. But with remote monitoring, with a remote monitoring system or mechanism, then it's easier for us to reduce the turnaround time or the response time we give to farmers in terms of addressing issues, either technical issues or user-related issues with the technology. So we do that. We have 3 ways of doing it, of doing quality assurance. Number 1, we have the customer service center, a national customer service center, where users can actually call in and share their issues. We have the field officers who are trained technicians across the country who are fast responders. And number 3, we have what we call the incentive structure, where we basically support these small and micro entrepreneurs to do after-sales service delivery to the farmers and to the users, and also do operations and maintenance for the systems. The last part of our service delivery is access to finance, where we link the companies to banks and also MFIs, and also we link potential users to SACCOs and MFIs, microfinance institutions. SACCOs are savings and credit cooperatives for access to credit, either buy or install the technology, and for the entrepreneurs, for them to finance basically operational capital, OPEX, for their businesses. I think we can go to the next slide. So I think our first encounter with WhatsApp was basically in the last Africa European Innovation Partnership event, which was my first event, and I really am thankful that we got connected with WhatsApp through Abdul Rahim, and a lot of things happened in between then and now that we're going to share. You can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. I think KBP and WhatsApp have 2 broad goals. I mean, since we started engaging, number 1, we realized that we can complement our strengths for our individual organizational growth, because KBP is present in Kenya. We are a national market facilitator. We deal with multiple biodigester solutions, technologies, a range of about 7 technologies. And we've realized over time that technology-based solutions is what actually help, number 1, us deal with the problems that come with operational maintenance at scale. Because right now we are managing 22,000 farmers, and it's very difficult for us to address each and every issue or capture each and every issue on time. And we are looking forward to having 20,000 more systems installed in the next 5 years. So we'll have a kind of like 40,000 users that need support. So it's only important for us to use technology, the power of IT, to ensure that we address that challenge that comes with operational maintenance, after-sales service delivery, or even support, giving immediate support or training support to farmers in real time. Abdul, will you take the second?
Yeah, so okay, so yes, thanks, Kevin. I think very nicely you mentioned that. Yeah, so I think as Kevin mentioned, after meeting in the first day, I mean, we felt quite like the complementary. We felt very complementary, because even in terms of the overall vision that we have. In WhatsApp, we have the vision is the local adaptation or local innovation. What do you call local innovation? Because even we are located in Germany, we don't see that we are talking about IoT or WhatsApp made in Germany. That's not our vision. We have a vision that IoT made in Africa. So that means that what we do. We wanted to, or we provide the open source hardware and software tools, and then that need to be adapted and integrated and make it locally, and in order to make sure that it is cost effective and locally available. And that is also very fit well that what Kevin mentioned, that because this the biogas. It's a very traditional, and then in Africa, it's a lot of this analog things are going, and there need to be a very nice integration of like a very complementary, cost-effective technologies like IoT, as well as the data management, big data, so which can enable to monitor as well as ensure the quality of this biogas plant. So it is a difficult task, definitely in terms of the make suring that the technology function very well, because as you know that this biogas itself are very in the dirty, sometimes it is still on the dirty places, so it's not so easy. But one thing is the target is to also to make it cost effective. So I think with what you have technology, we can ensure that it is cost effective. That is actually why we see.
You have 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so and then with the joint funding agenda, so as I said that we had to really, so with this vision, we also planned for the funding, and then we had also applied for one funding together, and it was, we have to be said it was not, didn't get accepted, but we was really ranked very high, it was very high score, but competition is very, very high, so therefore we didn't get the funding. But I think we will continue on that. So if you go on second slide, please. And I think the second slide, what you say is talking about that looking ahead. And as already mentioned from the previous slide, so we wanted to implement the quality control, the low cost remote monitoring solution on the biogas. So that is in order to ensure that the system quality control can be ensured for the service, for the end user, and we are also looking for joint funding opportunity and possibly also new business venture opportunity as we are also looking for. Yeah, so if Kevin, you wanted to say a few words here, and then you can.
Yeah, in terms of that's our last slide. In terms of opportunities, we still see a lot of opportunities in decarbonizing food processing. A part of the idea we shared, we actually wanted to pursue together was how do we ensure that technology enables biodigesters to be used for productive use in Kenya, either biodigesters for chilling, for cooling, or for using the dairy sector. So this is an opportunity that we can work together with WhatsApp, because you cannot upgrade biodigester or use it at this scale without involvement of technology. It has to be fully automated. We also see opportunity in terms of bioenergy production ambitions for Kenya by 2050. And we also see a lot of benefit that we can get from linkages between Kenya and Europe in terms of technology, because we are still very, young in terms of availability of technologies. And this is where, through organizations like WhatsApp, we are seeing open doors in terms of ensuring that biodigester in Kenya adoption and also use goes to the next level. Thank you very much, Senegal.
Thank you both very much. We really appreciate that presentation, and it's great to see that you're collaborating and there's synergies and that you plan to collaborate on the long term. So I hope wishing you all the best in applying for funding opportunities. So now I'll open the floor up to the other participants. Do you have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand, and of course we will give you permission to speak.
I think there is some question on the chat room. Box, or?
Let's see.
Question and answer.
I think it's just about asking if the slides can be made into French. But I see, Kelly Wanda, that your hand is raised. Let's see if you can unmute yourself. Yes. Kelly, we can?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sainabo. Thanks, Kevin and Abdurrahim. That is an interesting project, and I think very relevant to many of the African countries. I wanted to ask Kevin whether they are tapping into the waste that is generated in the cities, in the urban areas, and what challenges probably have they faced because we've been trying to do that in Uganda. There is a lot of waste that is generated, both agricultural, I mean livestock, and and crop residue. Lots of food items come into cities and they are processed, leaving a lot of waste. So I just wanted to find out if they are tapping into that, and probably how much biogas are they generating from that, and whether they've also come up with the marketing strategies and approaches so that the urban people can reduce on the energy cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I think your question is timely, because one of the issues we wanted to address with our partnership with WASIAP in the call that we had responded to was basically to optimize city waste for productive use. So we wanted to work together with the waste collection companies, because we have waste collection companies, to see how we can convert domestic market wastes into productive use. But as it is at the moment, I mean, similar to Uganda, we also have a problem with waste management, because the plastic, glass, and metallic waste they have already a defined market, but the organic waste, which is about 65% of the quantity, still has no defined market, and it's still not absorbed, in terms of being kind of like recycled into productive use. So part of our next ambition in the next 5 years, we are venturing into promoting industrial biodigester systems, which basically will optimize market waste and also domestic waste. And we have an ambition of influencing about 250 systems, funded by Danida partly, and also the Dutch government, and within a consortium of partners. So we do hope that within the next 5 years, we'll have set a proper foundation in terms of a business model and a business case for optimizing organic waste, part of the city waste, because that is what is really a menace. Just the other year, we were decommissioning our biggest landfill. So you can imagine the kind of trouble, which basically is an opportunity that is there in waiting.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for answering that question. So we can take one more question. So feel free to either raise your hand or write in the comment. Okay, great. Okay, if there are no more questions, we will move on. So now we will have a presentation by a cleantech startup. So this presentation will be done by Thomas Pav. So Thomas is the COO at Solarly. He is a blockchain enthusiast and also a startup investor with a background in international control, strategy consulting, and digital innovation. Thomas now works on scaling Solarly in the sub-Saharan African market, because Solarly is originally from Belgium. So he's working with a team of entrepreneurs to scale Solarly to different countries in Africa. So I'm sure it'll be interesting for everyone to find out how they've done it, what the opportunities are and the challenges. So Thomas, the floor is yours.
Hey, hello everyone. Yeah, it's a pretty good introduction, so we can start with the presentation. I kept it really short, so it's easy. Yeah, that's not, voilà. So yeah, we have two entities, one in Cameroon, one in Brussels. So we are kind of the mixture, because for like certain tenders, it's really important to have an African presence or a European presence. So this enables us to work on a lot of different tenders. What do we actually do? On the right side of the screen, you can see what we produce. So we are vertically integrated. We produce, ship, and sell, and design, obviously, a station that is a solar home system. And it's right in between the Pico, which is up to 50 watts, what you can see like 2 lamps, and you can charge a couple of phones, and the big parks. We are in between that. So it is connected. What does that mean? It means that our station is connected through a SIM card and will give you information about the consumption, about the productivity. And this is really something that tenders really look for. It's monitoring, basically. So when we install, we can track the performance of our stations, and we can also offer them in a pay-as-you-go way. So in the sub-Saharan continent, it's very popular to pay. You pay an account, you pay a deposit, and then you will pay the rest monthly. So that also allows us to do this, because we can stop the station from afar when people don't honor their obligations. So it is qualitative because it's like produced in Belgium. We have a lot of standards we need to comply with. It's upgradable. We only have 2 models, and it's the same box. So one is with 150 watt, the 300 watt. The only difference is 1 battery for one, 2 batteries for the other ones, 1 panel, solar panel, and 2 solar panels for the other one. So that's really easy to upgrade, right? The client just calls you, you bring him a battery, you install, you add a panel, and you're done. And yeah, I talked about the installment payments. And how do we manage the boxes? That's a second big part of the solution. Is we don't only have the hardware, but we have a platform. So we have the platform is called Sly, and it's where you can see where the station is. You can localize it as well, and you can see, okay, that person hasn't paid. You just toggle, and the station will shut off, usually between 15 seconds. But it can take up to 15 minutes because it's sending information every 15 minutes. Yeah, I think we can go to the next one. So why are we actually doing this? Because we have to say we are a lot on the field, like you would say, in the bush, which is not always easy. Oh, I think the slides have moved. If we could just go back. Yeah. Voila. So why are we doing this? Well, the founders, it's 2 co-founders, Julien Ria and Jean-Grégoire Orban de Xivry. They really wanted to make a difference. It's kind of the classic story. Okay, we have degrees, we are in Europe, what can we do that is a bit different? And for us, it was working on people's standard of living. As soon as we are working in Cameroon, us as a company in B2C, and whenever you leave the capital, and even in the capital, it can, like what people have in terms of electricity and connectivity just drops. It's quite shocking, and we can make a difference there. So that's why we want to do it. I think everyone who is in sub-Saharan Africa knows these issues. The daily power cuts, sometimes when you're not in the capital, they can last over a week. The alternative power sources, well, we have the generator, but the generator is loud and pollutes, but that's not really important to the African customer. What is important to them is every time you want to use it, you have to put in gasoline, and that's a recurring cost that is almost matched by our monthly payment for the station. So if they pay every month what they would pay for gasoline, after a year, the station would be theirs. So it makes sense. And yeah, in general, just when you don't have electricity, it's difficult to develop. How do we see a difference there is whenever a house takes one of our stations, it sometimes allows 3 different houses to have light, charge phones, because we have 4 little USB ports. So you can charge phones, radios, whatever. And the people have light. They can work, study later in the night. And for little shops, or for example, even we did a couple of hotels, like in Kenzu, close to the Central African Republic. Yeah, it's like quite a big hotel with in every room they put 2 lights. We have the same in Baturi, Kenzu. We're well spread out with these kind of businesses. Yeah, next one. So what are we currently doing? Currently, we are doing the B2C portion of the development in Cameroon. Why? Because we want to know what the client wants, where to develop, what do we need to develop. We are completing a B2G business to government contract that has been granted by Belgium to Cameroon to electrify 400 health centers. And we are looking for distributors. We discussed it a little bit earlier in the morning, MOUs with correct monitoring and stuff like this. That was more in the, I would say, government tenders. There it's really important, but I think it's also really important with distributors is how you collaborate with people. So it's quite a challenge to find someone that you can rely on, that is going to be totally transparent about how he's doing, because we cannot go, for example, in the northern region of Cameroon to check if he's indeed installing the quality of batteries and panels that he has signed in his MOU with us. So there is a big level of trust that is needed. For the future, we want to expand mostly into the RDC. So that would be great. And Nigeria, we already have a few little pilots, well, little, they're not that little, but we have pilots going on with people who we think really can make a difference, that we trust. That's pretty much the biggest factor. In B2G, we are still, working on the contract that we have won. And for the B2B, we are actually relying on the distribution network that could serve the B2C in RDC and others. I would say RDC and Nigeria are my main focus countries, Benin, Burkina, Chad as well, but there where I'm putting focus on RDC and Nigeria. For all of this, there is one important thing as well, is we would like to have a couple of certifications. For this, you need budget. And we also need to counter, I would say, the COVID effects on logistics, on the chips making, on the commodities that are rising, and as well as inflation across the board, whether it be in Europe, America, or Asia, we see inflation. So we want to do a next round. It'll be our Series A. Open to everyone and especially business. We want smart money in Q4 2021 or Q1 2022. So that's about it for the future. I don't know if up until now there is questions.
There are a few questions that have come about. So I believe one question was, who are you working with in Cameroon?
Yeah. So in Cameroon, we have a couple of suppliers, but we have cut those supplies by bringing our own material from Belgium. So it limits the price fluctuations. And now also with I was saying, inflation is something that we need to take into consideration. It was just the safest bet to buy now, make sure that we have all of this in Cameroon. The people that we are working with separately from there is usually people who reach out to us because they saw marketing or they heard from someone else who has a box. And we are really trying to make our own team. And this is what we don't want to do in other countries, because there we really want to work with distributors who work with us. And we provide the solution, we provide the platform, SLY, and they can then manage their own payments with clients.
Okay. And the question, I guess, yes, Steve wants you to elaborate. Do you have a local office in Cameroon? Where is it located in?
So we have official offices in Brussels, Louvain-la-Neuve, and Yaoundé. So 2 in Belgium, and 1 in Yaoundé. If you know the city, we used to be in Bastos. There we have only the showroom left, and now we are in Olembe, close to the Petrolic station. But you can reach out through the contact email that you can find on the website or even on Facebook or here, I guess. So yeah, we have an office locally. We pay taxes in Cameroon.
That's good to know. Yes. Okay, are you, there is this, do you want me to move on? I just moved on to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. So what are the opportunities and challenges? That was quite of a tricky slide. Also, I called with your office, right, to know if it was okay to write this, but I think we have to be honest. And I'm still a white guy in Africa, so I don't want to say anything how things have to be done. I'm just saying what we see is a lot of administrative complexity. What does that mean? That means that sometimes documents go through so many different ministries who all try to add as much responsibilities as they can into their charters when they were created, and they're still trying to adapt it. This makes it very difficult to run a profitable business, to really grow a company and not get worn out. So it's succeeding, but I can see that local employees or European employees, it takes a toll on them to deal with this sometimes mess, to go through one office, get sent to another one, and this can take 6 months. And what often is like the key driver is a second point, and that's corruption. In one way or another, they're all trying to have their share, but the reality that they don't see, or maybe it's less important to them, is that this can really kill a business, especially when you're like in a phase as us. We were a scale-up. We were 5 employees a year ago. Now we're 17 approximately. It's growing. We have apporteurs d'affaires, people who work for us on a contract basis when they sell for us. We are growing, and at that part, you can't just be handing out bribes, and if you do it once, you're in a vicious circle. So we are eagerly fighting against this, and I don't know if we will be able to do this for a long time. I really hope so, because this is really a key motivator for European employees. And I know that, for example, in the expat community across a lot of African countries, this kind of like sends people home, that they just are like, I can't take it anymore, I'm out. So it's a loss of human capital, I would say, and it's a loss of time and of opportunity for countries. So it's a very difficult topic. I'm just saying that a lot of companies are suffering under it, and it's sometimes really crazy what's happening. The second point brings us to the third point, which are delays. You're trying to get to a point, you have investors that you need to satisfy, you have loans, credits that you need to follow up upon. And if you have to spend 40% of your time in ministry offices and across different official entities, you lose a lot of time. And when you are a startup, time is key, because time is in the end money. Your burn rate grows higher, and these are all things that are quite strugglesome for a lot of companies in Cameroon, but other countries as well. And I really hope it can change, and that it can become a topic that is talked about as well, because I feel that not many people are eager to talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. So there are a few questions. I think we can answer the 2 and still have enough time. Are you looking to also power simple cooking equipment?
So when you are dealing with energy, especially solar energy, what is really important is heat and cold are very tricky to power. So for example, anything, it might even be a coffee machine. And I'm always being very honest about most of the things that I think touch to our product. And if you put on a coffee maker machine to a solution like Solarlis, and we are totally on the same scale as Victron, other big brands, it's just not gonna work, because it takes so much energy. So cooking supplies, no. Also, what I know is that I haven't seen one cooking plate electric to buy in Cameroon on the market. And most people just use gas or fire. So in a way, it is interesting, but it is not for, it's not, how to say, a key driver for our customers to buy our products. They really want light, television, be able to charge their phones and use the station, because it's easy to use for the payments and for the battery life and everything.
Okay. And then there's a question from Christina. Are you interested to distribute your solar solutions in Benin? How can we start this process? What criteria are you looking for beyond credibility and willingness to transparency?
So I added my email. I have a lot of calls like with people who want to distribute. What is the criteria? I'm really honest. Is just be honest. We'll do the same. If your capacity is low, just tell me. and we can see where we go from there. What we want is that transparency. Wait, I'm seeing someone ask where is the email. I send it to me to panelists, but I think not everyone can see it.
I'll go ahead and send it. Yeah.
Voilà. The important thing for us is just you need to have some technicians who have knowledge of solar energy. By this, I mean our installation is quite easy to perform, but there will be some maintenance, and we want you to be honest with your client. So Solarly in Cameroon is quite a known brand for quality, and we want to keep that in other countries. So that's the most important part, is that you really respect the contract that we have, and that you will service your client for 2 years. That's, I think, the main issue for some people.
Great. Thank you very much, Thomas. Okay, we actually have to move on. We really appreciate you presenting on that. Maybe if we still have enough time towards the end, and there are any other participants who have questions, feel free to just write the questions in the comments, and we might come back to that.
Okay.
Thank you again. So next we have a presentation on solar taxi by Arnold Anokia. He is the operations manager for Solar Taxi Limited, a clean tech mobility company in Ghana. He's very passionate about technologies that promote sustainable development, hence creating a niche for solar taxi in the clean mobility industry in Ghana. So yes, Arnold, the floor is yours.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So my name, as Zaneb rightly said, my name is Arnold, and I am the operations manager for Solar Taxi Limited.
Arnold, are you there?
Yes, please, I'm here.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, so my name is
There's a bit of noise in the background. I don't know if it's if you have your headphones.
Is it okay now?
Yes, it's a lot better. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Arnold, and I'm the operations manager for Solar Taxi Limited. Solar Taxi Limited is actually a green mobility company that's actually started its operations somewhere in 2018. It started as a project, and along the line, we were able to secure some funding and move it from the project phase to pilot phase. And we are currently in the business phase, where we are providing services for our prospective clients in Ghana. Okay, so as the name implies, we try as much as possible to harness the energy of the sun to provide clean and affordable energy for the good people of Ghana. Transport for the good people of Ghana. And we currently have a number of vehicles at our end. We have motorbikes that are used for courier services. We have tricycles that are used for conveying agri produce as well as market produce. We also have the electric cars that we sell and also rent out to our customers. And we've also built lithium battery packs that are used to power these electric vehicles. And we also have the solar hub. The solar hub is what we use to harness the energy of the sun to charge the electric vehicles that we have. Please, the next slide. Okay, so Solar Taxi currently has a number of vehicles that are tailor-made to meet the demands of the Ghanaian or the African. So what then happens is we import the parts of the vehicles that we have at our disposal, then we assemble it, and we assemble it by a team of female engineers who are capable, who have been trained to do this assembling as well as provide maintenance services as well. In the process of redoing all these things, we realized that electric vehicles are powered by these batteries, and for that matter, we decided to delve into the production of lithium-ion battery packs as well. So fortunately for us, we were able to pilot it, and we were able to achieve a 150-kilometer range on a single charge. So what it basically means is that we now have mastery over the battery technology, which we will use to power the vehicle that we have over here. And the next thing is that Solar Taxi also, and the vehicles that we have, one thing is we created the opportunity for the vehicles to charge using the conventional electricity from the various houses. That's the electricity provided by the government, or the clients will have the option of opting for our solar hub to be installed in their various premises. Dependent on how they want it, then we'll provide that particular service to them. Please, the next slide. Okay, so in view of all these things, we came to the realization that most of the transport industries, especially in Ghana or in Africa, are mainly dominated by men. And for that purpose, we decided to change the narrative. So this time around, what we are doing is we are not actually training men in the mainstream transport industry. What we are doing is we are just trying to change the narrative by training ladies. So we have a team of female engineers who are responsible for the assembling and maintenance of all these vehicles that I spoke about initially. So what then happens is the ladies are trained, they are taken through a number of weeks training. Then when they have become professionals in the assembly and maintenance of these electric vehicles, they are actually sent to our various branches in the country, including Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, Tamale. These are the various regions that we work in as at now. With regards to our internationalization strategy, Solar Taxi actually has a plan to expand its frontiers to other sub-Saharan countries and Africa at large. As this is actually seen in our goal of accelerating West Africa's, and for that matter, Africa, transition into the green mobility, green and affordable transport industry. So here our aim is to expand at the frontiers of clean transport to the various regions in Africa. Fortunately for us, over the period, we've had series of calls from neighboring countries, and even sometimes as far as the East Africa, African countries, who have expressed interest in coming on board with the things that we have. So we have people coming from all the way from Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Senegal, all have expressed interest in getting on board. But we are currently taking things slow because we want to set up a complete our factory in Ghana here, else the demand will outweigh the supply and we may not be able to keep a good name in that regard. So we are currently trying to hold on. And what then happens is when we are able to set up our assembling plants, we will be able to work with these clients from the various countries in Africa. Please, the next slide. Okay, so currently we have a number of opportunities that we believe we are making good use of. The first one is the flexibility, the excess electricity supply in Ghana. Currently, I think somewhere in 2019, the Energy Commission made us understand that Ghana has excess electricity, and for that matter, it would want to channel the excess electricity into electric or clean mobility. So it is in this regard that we decided to tap into that opportunity. We currently have the technological know-how. Currently, of course, electric vehicle usage is actually a recent technology, and a lot of people have that technology when it comes to the assembling, the maintenance of it. But in our company, that's Solar Taxi Limited, we took the time to understand what it entails. We did the reverse engineering. We understood the step-by-step assembling process, the step-by-step maintenance process, and we currently will say we have the technological know-how and the knowledge to undertake all these maintenance activities and assembling activities as well. We also have the opportunity to develop lithium-ion battery packs. This actually came to be when we realized that at a point there was a little bit of a shortage of the lithium battery across the world because of the increase in electric vehicle production. So because of that, we decided to build our own lithium battery packs, which, as I mentioned earlier, became a success. We currently have one that we've tested out, and we were able to hit a 150-kilometer range on a single charge. So it means with the right technology, we can even advance this technology further, and we can hit more than the 150-kilometer range on the single charge. We also have abundant sunlight, which we can harness to provide this clean energy for the usage or for the charging of the vehicles. On the side of the challenges that we've encountered so far, the first one will be on the non-existent regulation when it comes to the usage of electric vehicles. Initially, when we started working around electric vehicles, one thing we realized was that in Ghana, for instance, there were no laws, there were no regulations that guide its electric vehicle usage. So it then became difficult as to how to even register the vehicle that we have, as to how to even do one or two things when it comes to consulting some of the government offices. So
Arnold, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you have 2 minutes remaining, and yeah, we need a bit more time for questions. Thank you.
Okay, so what then happens is we decided to put together some regulations to guide the usage of electric vehicles in the country. The next one is high duties on the imported parts that we have, and the last one is inadequate EV technology. The current technologies that we have, the machinery that we use to provide or to produce the vehicles or the batteries that we have is actually not the best, but we are hoping that we will get a more sophisticated and more advanced technologies to work on our vehicles. And I think the last one, I think it was mentioned in the previous presentation, is when we come to, it has to do with the ministerial bureaucracies. What happens is you have to always do a lot of back and forth when it comes to getting in touch with the ministers, getting in touch with any government official, to even sign a simple document for you. You have to do a lot of back and forth. And this we realized was the main problem, because most of these officials, as it stands now, have invested heavily in the petroleum industry. So they see us more like competitors than partners they can develop with. So I think at this point, this is how I will end my presentation on solar taxi. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that great presentation. It's very interesting what you're doing, and I think it's a great concept also working with women to really enable women engineers to be more active in this sector. So there's a question from Thomas Pav. He's asking, is lithium economically feasible?
So for now, the economic feasibility, I wouldn't say it is really economically feasible. Right now, what we are doing is during the pilot phase, we've incurred a lot of costs in coming up with this lithium battery pack. But we are hopeful that as time goes on, if you're able to progress to the commercialization of the lithium battery packs, then it will become economically feasible in that regard.
Thank you so much for answering that. Are there any other questions? Okay, Kelly, I'll go ahead. You can go ahead and ask your question directly. You can unmute yourself. 1 second.
Yes, Arnold, thanks very much for that. My question is about whether you've piloted that and whether it has led to a reduction in the costs of transport. Here in Kampala, Uganda, we have a lot of, bikes, and the costs are really high. I mean, the poor people are paying a lot of money for transport. And we also therefore wanted to explore networking with you, to invite you here. But kindly also share your contact, please. Thank you.
Okay, I will definitely do that. And when it comes to the cost aspect, I think, yes, it has really cut down the cost of transporting people who are found within the low or the medium income quadrants. In the sense that when we started with, especially with the courier service bikes, we started providing delivery services, and what we realized was the payments that was made by the clients were lesser than the one that were made by those who were used. Let me put it this way: the charges that we were charging using our electric bikes were lesser than the charges that other people were charging using the fuel bikes. Currently, we have a number of banks that are signed onto our platform, and what they are doing is they have even requested for more vehicles because they realize the amount of money they spent in buying fuel weekly had drastically reduced when they started using our electric vehicles. So yes, I would say it is very good when it comes to cost reduction and also providing transport services to the good people of Ghana. So I think looking at you inviting us to Kampala, of course, I will share my email and as well as my contacts on the platform. Then you can reach me on that.
Yeah. Great, thank you very much, Arnold, for that presentation. So yeah, the cleantech session has just ended. I believe there are other questions, but of course, you can directly send an email to Arnold. You can also email the AEIP email address if you're a cleantech startup that's looking for potential partners, distributors, and so forth. You can just send us an email, and of course, we're more than happy to support in facilitating any partnership opportunities you're seeking in Africa and/or Europe. So yeah, thank you all very much. Thank you again to all the panelists. We truly appreciate you being here, and we are very excited about all the work that you're doing in the clean tech and renewable energy space. So you can stay here for yeah, the next session. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just checking with my colleagues. Are we still waiting for participants from the EdTech parallel session, or is this session already concluded?
I was there. We are back.
Okay, great. Okay, so then I think we are all back. So very good. I hope you had interesting discussions. I'm just gonna quickly open up my presentation slides. All right. So yeah, we just wanted to take a few minutes now before we break for lunch or a coffee break, depending on in which time zone you find yourself in, to just maybe have a quick reflection on the discussions we had this morning. Maybe we can start with the first two parallel sessions we had. So in the Tech Up session, we had an interesting discussion, both with, let's say, experienced AEIP members, but also some newcomers. And we basically collected some feedback through a mind map tool on what has worked well in the AEIP, what has worked less well, and what maybe some of the challenges were, and also what the plans are for the future. So I think some people noted positively the information exchange platform that the AEIP is, how it provides opportunities to learn from other tech hubs across both continents, and also that they had some interesting fruitful partnerships. At the same time, some people noted also that sometimes it's difficult to maintain momentum, especially in pandemic times. People really stress that, at least at the beginning, to build a trustworthy relationship, it's important to meet at least once in person, and also to establish a clear roadmap from the get-go to avoid spending much time later on to schedule meetings. This does not only apply to, let's say, bilateral tech partnerships, but also to the AEIP as a whole. It was mentioned that in some cases, startups were not able to join some of the opportunities or events that we organized because they already had other commitments. So in the future, it would be welcomed if a clearer, let's say, roadmap of maybe 12 or even 18 months could be produced, that and then tech hubs can more easily advertise early on opportunities through initiatives such as the AEIP with their startup communities. And then we of course had a presentation on Enriching Africa as one of the key follow-on initiatives to the AEIP. and people had some questions related to the services that they intend to provide. And I'm sure more people will be visiting the Enriching Africa exhibition booth tomorrow to find out more. And then maybe, I would invite my colleague Elisabeth to briefly report back on the Community of Practice TTO session that you had in the morning.
Thank you very much, Stefan. We had, as always, very interesting insights on different topics related to innovation and technology transfer and IP. Colleagues were able to produce and explain 2 case studies that they have drafted on reverse innovation and on traditional knowledge protection. Those cases were built with the members of the Community of Practice, so this is really a satisfaction. The idea was also to say that this final event is not an end. It's also a beginning, because we've spent 2.5 years trying to build a community, trying to build a network, making friends with different networks. So the idea was also to give an opportunity to share with what can be done next and what can be done next. We now have 288 name contact in Europe and in Africa of people interested in innovation and tech transfer. And those people will be encouraged to join our partners network, Waitrose, for instance, network, ASTP network in Europe, Sarima network in South Africa. So all those new colleagues and friends we have that can and that do promote partnerships in innovation between Europe and Africa. And we also had the opportunity to tease about the Enrich project, which is really a super opportunity for innovation actors in the next years. So it was also quite frustrating just to meet once with the Community of Practice, but with the Enrich, it's going to be concrete actions, and we are really positive with the fact that we will be able to meet later on within Enrich in the future. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you, Elisabeth. Thank you very much. And then, of course, after these first 2 parallel sessions, we had 3 parallel sessions focusing on the 3 thematic challenge platforms that we launched out of the AEIP over the last 6 to 12 months. And I would like to ask Sainabu to first report back on the cleantech discussion that you had.
Sure, thank you, Stefan. So this session basically focused on the AEIP cleantech thematic challenge that was launched last year. And the whole idea of it was to basically bring together tech hubs in the AEIP network, supporting startups working on clean tech and renewable energy solutions, and having those tech hubs identify their clean tech portfolio startups, having them submit a profile form. And then our role as the AEIP was to then match similar African and European startups working on clean tech solutions and to see if they wanted to collaborate or co-create in any form. We also supported those startups in identifying potential tech hubs from either Africa or Europe that could provide soft landing support to their specific startup that was like ready to scale up. So in this session, we had 3 presentations that were done. So the first presentation was done by Kenya Biogas Program, which is a Kenyan startup that basically promotes the uptake of biodigesters in Kenya. And then, they presented with WaziUp, which is a tech hub that supports the uptake of IoT technology solutions in Africa specifically. So the 2, they basically have a collaborative partnership. And the idea behind it is, so WaziUp is basically supporting Kenya Biogas Program in utilizing internet-based technology solutions to ensure quality control, as well as business case pay-as-you-go solutions for the uptake of these biodigesters in Kenya. Following that presentation, we had a presentation by Solarly, which is a Belgian startup that actually currently works in Cameroon, and they basically provide an affordable and connected solar home system that provides access to electricity for rural households. This was very interesting to hear Thomas Pav, who presented on Solarly. He really also mentioned some of the challenges that they've been facing in launching the startup in Cameroon. But of course, he also mentioned some of the opportunities that are available. And basically, Solarly is actually interested in scaling to other countries in Africa, mainly DRC and Nigeria. So of course, if there are any tech hubs here in DRC and Nigeria that might potentially be interested in becoming a distribution partner, or even supporting Solarly to further scale up to different countries in Africa, please feel free to reach out to the AEIP team and we can connect you to Thomas Pav. And then the final presentation was on Solar Taxi, which is a clean tech startup based in Ghana that basically provides a fleet of electric vehicles, as well as tricycles and motorbikes using solar power. So that was quite interesting hearing that presentation. And Solar Taxi is also interested in expanding to different countries in Africa as well. So if you are interested in any of these solutions that some of these startups are working on, please reach out to the AEIP team. Thank you. I'm done, Stefan.
Thank you very much, Sainabu. Then we also had a session on food waste and loss, where we actually had a similar procedure as the one described by Sainabu for cleantech. And for that, I would invite Teresa to quickly report back on the discussion we had.
Yes, as Sainabu just described, the aim was to connect tech hubs and startups working in Africa and Europe on the topic or working on solutions for food waste related problems. And this challenge started in January this year, but builds on the already existing food waste platform of the Europe-India Innovation Partnership. So now in total, we have over 80 profiles in this platform working on different with startups working on different subtopics such as smart farming, food processing, logistics, supply chain management, and waste management and recycling. And here as well, we had 3 startup pairs collaborations who presented their partnerships. One was from Thematic India and FAMSMET Ghana, who work on improving the water quality for fish hatchery. Then we had a presentation on startups working on food processing and solutions there, also from India, Prixels, and from Nigeria, Dokoni's farm. And they are using each other's products and to enable to have environmentally friendly products for aquaculture. And then we had the last presentation of a collaboration of 4 startups from India, 2 from Africa, and 1 from Europe, who are B2B or digital marketplaces connecting farmers and consumers, thereby reducing food waste. And they are actually working on an MOU. And we also presented some funding opportunities of the UN World Food Programme Innovation Accelerator and from LEAP for FNSSA. They will also join the panel of tomorrow's food waste session. And in the final discussion, we could wrap up, discuss further needs, and also had some interested startups that might join the platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And then we had the education tech session where Anna can report back to us.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan. Yes, so as mentioned, there were multiple thematic challenges. The third one was on EdTech, launched in March of this year. The goal was to basically build partnerships to scale EdTech solutions in Africa and Europe. We received 54 applications, of which we selected 24. What emerged in these 24 EdTech startups is actually 2 things. One is quite a bunch needed digital tools actually to promote through their solutions, so education tools. And the other big need that emerged was funding, access to funding. Although there was a different profile, some already had attracted some funding of multiple tons and some were in the first stage, so looking for the first fundings. So what we did is through our partners with Siemens Foundation and Wheelstar Social Investment Fund, we developed a session to actually address these 2 major needs.
So Siemens Foundation shared the open access platform they have with all kinds of digital education tools, which are freely available, and talked participants through all these options and solutions available. And the next step will be with at least 4 to 5 that I already have made a match with Siemens to follow up and to organize the partnership with Siemens and have access to their digital tools. So to promote education in different African countries. And regarding access to funding, we did quite a fast-track session on what kind of, basically working through an investor readiness checklist. So what does any investor want to know? And we addressed the main topics, so addressing the composition of a team, organizing your team in line with objectives. We focused on the product development and access to markets. So what kind of market are the startups addressing, and who decides in the end to buy their product? So how to tailor a marketing strategy for that. And the last part was, know what kind of funding opportunities are there, but also what kind of criteria and requirements investors apply in order to prepare the story well. So we talked about this, and in the next few weeks we'll follow up on the questions addressed. But was a nice session. Thanks, Stefan. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. And so indeed we will send around a summary note on this event and all the discussions that have taken place after the event, so you can then see also what our reflections are and what next steps for the thematic challenges, for instance, are in store. Just before I close this session, I just wanted to mention 2 more things to you. First of all, even though now the morning sessions of the first day of the AEIP conference have now concluded, we do have one more optional program available for you this afternoon, starting in just under 45 minutes. This is a capacity upgrading or training module developed by a seasoned startup support organization, Startup Bootcamp, and it's training for accelerators and on acceleration programs, how to successfully build and implement them. So I think this should be very relevant to all the tech hubs, but perhaps also to many of the entrepreneurs and startups that have participated this morning. So you can once again access this via the event platform to which you have registered. I encourage you all to take a look and check it out. And then, of course, tomorrow we have the main conference day. So we have a full program. This is just an example of the plenary sessions. And you can also see that we once again have some parallel sessions. We will have an opening remark by Commissioner Gabriel from the European Commission and Commissioner Sarah Akbar from the African Union Commission, who will both share their perspective on Africa-Europe innovation collaboration. We also have an opening statement by the Portuguese Minister of Science and Education. Then we have a keynote speech by Rebecca Enonchong from AfriLabs, followed by more success stories from our network. And then very importantly, you have several networking slots in the program tomorrow, where you can book one-on-one meetings with other event participants, or you can visit one or several of the 10 exhibition booths that present some of the initiatives in more detail that were already highlighted today. And then we have a very interesting discussion on intellectual property rights and vaccines in the afternoon. In parallel, we have panel discussions on the 3 thematic challenges that we already heard about this morning. And then in the afternoon, we want to spend some time to take stock of the AEIP journey with our advisory board members, and to also hear once again from initiatives such as Enriching Africa, to understand what lies ahead of us in terms of Africa-Europe innovation collaboration, before the event is then concluded by representatives once again from the European Commission, the African Union Commission, as well as the AFDB. And I think with that, we can leave it at that for now. It's been a pleasure for me. Hopefully also it's been enriching and interesting for you. I don't know if there are any final questions or comments. I see that there were many people adding information in the chat. We will take note of that. If your questions have not already been answered, we will definitely follow up or connect you to the right people. But I don't see any further questions right now. Okay. So then I think we can close this meeting, and I hope you enjoy your break, and then maybe see you at the training this afternoon, and otherwise, hopefully we will see you all tomorrow, starting from 10 o'clock again for the main conference. Thank you, everyone.